The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host Dylan Mangan, joined today by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. Today we'll be taking a look ahead to the rowing at this year's Olympics. There are 4 West Cork rowers in Paris. They'll be in action starting this Sunday. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. Now, Kieran, it is all go in the Star Sport headquarters this week. As we often say, you could release 2 editions of the Star Sport, and this week you are. So there's 48 pages of West Cork Sport, 28 pages of the Sport edition, and a 24-page special Olympic souvenir supplement as well. And just for our listeners, I'm just going to quickly list some of the stories that appear across these 48 pages because it's incredible. And I think straight off the bat here, I want to try and tell everyone to go out and buy this week's Southern Star, because in the Olympic supplement, there are long reads on each of the 7 West Cork representatives at the Olympics, digging into the stories behind the athletes. There's stats, there's facts, there's a whole lot more as well across those 24 pages. It is a must buy. And inside as well, there's a free giant poster for your wall at home. That's in the supplement. But even in the, I don't know what to call it, the regular sport edition, there's plenty of action as well. So in Intercounty, Cork obviously lost the All-Ireland final in dramatic fashion in a game plenty are describing as one of the best hurling finals of all time. We have loads of reaction from that. Cork unfortunately also lost in the All-Ireland ladies football semi-final, but manager Shane Renane says he wants to stay on for next year. There's an All-Ireland Camogie final on this weekend that Cork are in. We have the preview for that as well. John Cleary has said that he's staying on as Cork's senior football manager next season. And so that's everything in Intercounty. There's also the Club Football Championship that throws in this weekend. There's huge games across the board. Standout ones, probably Castlehaven against Clonakilty on Saturday. The Newcestown are up in Premier, and there's plenty of other West Cork teams in action across the weekend. There's all of that. There's the latest West Cork Sports Star Award. There's a new under-18 national decathlon record holder from Bandon. There's a big county decider in road bowling. The Cronin brothers are leading their respective rally championships, and there's a whole lot more. And that's before the Olympics starts this weekend, Kieran. So I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with that, but I just wanted to kind of highlight the length and the breadth of the West Cork sport action that is happening at the moment, and the fact that this is the best place to stay up to date. How are you feeling after putting all that together?
Tired. I'm after I get off this podcast, I'm going to sleep, and I probably won't wake up till probably October. That's what I'm thinking. No, but it was an Olympic-sized effort from the Star Sports team here, and it's well worth it. Like we said, 48-page sports section on Thursday, and not many newspapers in the country would be able to match that in terms of sports coverage. But I'm like a broken record, Dylan. This is such an incredible region for sport. West Cork really is a place apart, and because we have 7 Olympians across in Paris, either right there now or travelling. I know Nicola Tuttle is heading off on Thursday. We had to match their heroics with our 24-page special, and I really do think, and I'm a bit biased, I think it's the best we produced. I think there's so much quality insight, quality writing in this special. It really is worth picking up Thursday Star just to find out a bit more about our 7 Olympians, because I set myself the challenge of, we've been telling our stories in the Star Sports pages week after week after week, but I wanted to find different angles into these 7 different amazing sports people, and I think we've achieved that. And I think those who are lucky enough and who are sensible enough to pick up Thursday's Southern Star will really enjoy what they read.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to flag as well, online we've been releasing this week some videos about the West Cork Stars in Paris as well. So on Monday we had an interview with Phil Healy, who's ready to take the Olympics by storm. It's her second time at the Olympics. On Tuesday, we went to Nicola Tuthill's family farm in Kilbrittain to look at the homemade hammer circle and cage that her father built for her. On Wednesday, we released a brilliant video. Sean Holland went to Skibbereen Rowing Club to get put through his paces and to see exactly what West Cork rowers do to prepare for the Olympics. And on Thursday as well, we'll have a video on hockey goalkeeper David Hart and his preparation for the Olympics as well. So loads going on. And I guess now we want to focus on this weekend and on the rowing, which kicks off on Saturday. As I said earlier, there are 4 West Cork rowers. They'll be in action starting on Sunday. And before we get into maybe specifics, the fact that 4 of this, I think there's 16 Irish rowers, and the fact that a quarter of them come from Skibbereen, not just West Cork, but Skibbereen, is incredible, Kieran.
Yeah, I think we've known about the exploits of Skibbereen Rowing Club for some time now, Dylan. It's just the most incredible club right here in the heart of West Cork. What Skibbereen rowers have done for the sport of rowing in Ireland, it's hard to really put into words. Like I've spoken before about the Gary and Paul silver medal back in the Rio Games. It was the first ever Irish rowing medal at an Olympic Games. And since then, we've seen Irish rowers win Olympic gold and Olympic bronze in Tokyo. It was very fitting that there were Skibbereen rowers in both boats. So of the 7 Irish rowers who have won Olympic rowing medals, 4 of those are from Skibbereen. Paul O'Donovan, Gary O'Donovan, Fintan McCarthy and Emily Hegarty. And they carry so much hopes going towards Paris as well. But it really is a credit to Skibbereen Rowing Club. I was out at the club there last week with Shawnee O'Brien, who's one of the club stalwarts, for just having a walk around. And just while we were chatting down by the boathouse, a car pulled in. It was tourists just taking a picture outside the clubhouse. And I think we're going to find that a lot more over the next couple of weeks, where any tourist, anyone around West Cork, they'll want to go and see the home of the Olympians, the home of the Olympic gold medalists, the silver medalists, the bronze medalists. And it just shows, I suppose, the impact that the Skibbereen Rowing Club has had on Irish rowing, but as well as the West Cork community, because it's a source of great pride. You don't have to be from Skibbereen to be proud of the rowers. If you're from West Cork at all, if you have any relation at all of a relative in West Cork, own that, because that's your connection to West Cork, and it's your connection to Skibbereen Rowing Club, because it's done incredible things. It really has. It's the club that's conquered the world. It's the club that's raised Irish rowing to a new level, and it's the club that hopefully will be the home to more Olympic medals by the end of next week.
Yeah, and speaking of Olympic medals, one of the main men, or one of the main characters throughout the years, starting with that silver in 2016, has been Paul O'Donovan. He could, at this Olympics, Kieran, become the first Irish athlete to medal at 3 separate games. That's incredible.
It just really is incredible. It was Dr. Pat O'Callaghan in 1928 and 1932 won medals in the men's hammer, and then you Paddy Barnes in Beijing and London. He won bronze in boxing. And now with Paul, he'd silver from Rio, gold from Tokyo. And if he medals here, like you said, Dylan, first Irish sports person ever to win Olympic medals at 3 different games. And it would elevate him, I think, to a whole new level. Like, we're big fans of Paul. You've said it here on the podcast enough times. You've written it in the paper enough times. He's a generational athlete. He's the best Irish rower we've ever produced. I really do think he's the best Irish sports person that we have. When you look at the bank of work that he's done over the years, the 2 Olympic medals, 6 world golds, 2 in a single, 4 in a double. He's European gold medals as well. He's won all the different colour medals at World Cup regattas. But it's aside from what Paul has achieved in terms of that physical success, the medals that he can show and hang around his neck, but it's also how he's just transformed the sport, Dylan. Like I said, when himself and Gary won that Olympic silver, they broke the glass ceiling for Irish rowing. They showed that Irish rowers can win Olympic medals. Himself and Fintan went one step further in Tokyo in 2021 by winning Ireland's first ever gold medal. And they normalised winning Olympic medals. And now there's an expectation that comes with that. And we're seeing the biggest ever Irish rowing team going to Paris, 16 rowers spread across 7 boats. And there's a real expectation that Irish rowers will come home with medals. And I do feel you can trace that back to what Paul and Gary achieved in 2016, because all the rowers who'd gone before that had come up just short. Some kind of heartbreaking stories in there. We never had that Olympic medal in rowing. We do now, and Paul O'Donovan has played a huge part in that, and he's played a huge part in transforming the sport and also introducing the sport to so many people who are aware of rowing, but maybe not that interested, because all of a sudden you had this very interesting character that almost transcended the water, because on land himself and Gary were kind of just there were two characters as well. So he's helped grow the sport, and he's just one of the most incredible sports people in Irish sport right now.
Talk to me a little bit about the man who'll be in the boat with him, Fintan McCarthy, because maybe for a lot of people outside of West Cork going into the Tokyo Olympics, they might have been slightly surprised to not see Gary O'Donovan's name in the boat, or Gary in the boat with Paul. And Fintan might have kind of flown under the radar a little bit, but obviously he can't do that anymore. He's an Olympic gold medalist himself. He has said to you, I think, that he feels better than ever, which is kind of a scary prospect for all of their competitors going into this year's games.
Yeah, Fintan's been in that boat now since 2019. He ousted Gary out of the boat. Fintan won his place in the boat at Gary's expense, and Fintan's held his seat ever since. And that Fintan and Paul team, it just works. There's just magic when they get on the water together, and we've seen that by the Hall of Medals. So like Fintan now has his Olympic gold, he's 3 world gold medals, his European medals. Again, he's all the different World Cup medals as well. Together they've won 10 medals between them, and they rarely lose. And when they do lose, it rankles. And Fintan really is a competitor. We've been writing about Fintan in the Star since well before he got in the boat. Well, it's since he was a junior. And I have to say, Fintan's one of the good guys. He's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet, and I have such great time for him because he's such an easygoing, such a relaxed man. Would you put him in the boat and almost, well, it's the same as Paul. You put them in the boat and they just transform. Like they're just these two beasts in the boat, and how they're able to power that boat faster than anyone else in the world is just a credit to the two of them. But Fintan's journey has been super to watch. He said himself, been quite open, that when he got in the boat first, it's like this imposter syndrome that he felt, as in, oh God, what am I doing here along someone like Paul? But he's proved over the years, and he's proved time and time again, that he deserves his place in that boat. He's an Olympic champion for a reason. He's a world champion for a reason, because he's world class. And it's no coincidence that Paul and Fintan together have won all these medals, because they're two of the best rowers that Ireland have ever produced. And it's just a testament to Fintan's growth and development on and out of the boat, that he now feels so confident in himself, and he carries himself so much with so much more confidence than he did at the start. And because Fintan, he'll tell you himself, he's a creature of habit. He loves certainty. If he's going to regatta, he'd want his bag packed 2 weeks ago. He'd always put a diary out. I'm doing this at 8:10, I'm doing this at 8:20. As in, he's a man who likes structure and routine. But over the years, because of Paul has had his studies when it comes to medicine and so on, there's a lot of, each year has been different in terms of Paul and Fintan in the boat. And that's helped Fintan grow and develop, because he's had to roll with the punches and just kind of see what happens and just roll with it. But that now means that the Fintan that we will see in Paris from Sunday on, and hopefully right up to next Friday, is a Fintan who can adapt to whatever the environment is. If he trains with Paul full time, brilliant, they'll make the boat move. If himself and Paul don't train for a certain amount of time because they both have things on, once they get back in the boat, they have the bank of knowledge from doing that before, that they can make it work as well. So they've just found a way to win, and they found a way to win big medals, and hopefully they'll find a way to win one more big medal next week.
Well, you've kind of preempted my next question. Not to put you on the spot, but to be real about it, we've spoken a lot before about the fact that when these two lose, it is a surprise. Would it be a surprise if they weren't? Maybe it would be a complete surprise, let's say, if they weren't on the podium.
That would be a complete surprise, because I suppose we've got to almost like the asterisks with this. This is sport; anything can happen, and that's the beauty of sport, and that's why we love it so much, because just expect the unexpected. I suppose over the last few years, there's almost been a certainty with Paul and Fintan that when they row in the big regattas, that they will win gold. What we've seen over the last 2 seasons, they have been beaten. So if you go back to World Cup 3 last year, they lost in the final there to the French crew. They lost by 0.09 of a second, less than 1/10 of a second. But the context was that Paul and Fintan hadn't been in the boat that much beforehand. But between World Cup 3 and last year's World Championships, they were back together. They got to the Worlds and they defended their world title and won world gold, and won it very impressively. So that's important to note. This year they travelled to World Cup 2 in Lucerne and they finished third, and that was really kind of, what's happening here in one sense. I suppose if people weren't in the know, they're like, these are the lads who always win gold, but Italy and Switzerland finished ahead of them. But the Italian and Swiss doubles have been very active this year. Italy had won the first World Cup regatta. Switzerland had won the European title, whereas World Cup 2 this year was Paul and Fintan's first outing together, because Fintan had been sick and had missed the European Championships. But they still were only less. There was a second off goal that day. And since then, they've been in the boat non-stop together. And the noises and the sounds are that things are going quite well for them. So that's why I think Paul and Fintan can draw on their experience of last year, as in they lost, but they came back and they won the big prize. And I think we could hopefully, touch wood, see the same here this week in Paris, because they will be the crew to beat. They will be the team to beat. There's no doubt about that. But the Italians and the Swiss are very good. You can't write off the Norwegians too, or the Spanish as well, could be there or thereabouts. But I think it's all about safety, negotiating each step and getting through to the A final, which is on Friday week. And hopefully when they can get there, that they'll do what they always do.
Absolutely. So they will be out in action in the heats of the lightweight men's double starting at 12 noon on Sunday. And I would urge everyone to watch as much of them as they can this year, because the event that they compete in won't be in the Olympics going forward. So it now is the time to watch Paul and Fintan. But they're not the only rowers, Kieran, heading to Paris from Skibbereen. Emily Hegarty is also in action on Sunday. She's part of the Irish Women's 4 who won bronze in Tokyo. They're taking to the water in their heat at 12:30. And Emily's story as well is a brilliant one.
Yeah, Emily's a Tokyo bronze medalist in the same boat, the Irish Women's 4. It's changed since then. Emily and Emer Lamb are the only two from the Tokyo 4 that are left in the boat, because Africa and Fiona are in the women's pair. Since Tokyo, it's up in plain sailing for Emily. She was off the water for the entire 2023 season. She had a back injury, and she's been quite open and honest with us here in the Star in interviews in the past year or so, where there was a time last year where she felt, will I get back in the boat? What's going to happen? Will I get back rowing? Because when a rower gets a back injury, it can be quite unnerving in one sense, because the back is obviously the back is under huge pressure when you're a rower. But Emily took her time, rehab properly, and the good news is she got back training late last year. She won her place back in the Irish Women's 4. They went through the last chance qualification regatta in Lucerne back in May, won their place at the Paris Games and won it quite impressively. So there's almost parallels to draw between now and Tokyo, because the Irish Women's 4 that won bronze in Tokyo took the exact same route. They came through the last chance saloon qualification regatta, went all the way to the bronze medal. So hopefully we could see something similar here, where Emily and Co can hopefully get into the A final, which is on next Thursday. And if that happens, who knows? But Emily, again, a great story. She was the first heavyweight Skibbereen Olympian, and that's quite important too, because like you said, Dylan, lightweight rowing is going to be cut from the games after this. So the heavyweight, which is the open class, is the only way for Skibbereen rowers to get to an Olympics. And Emily's proved that Skibbereen can produce heavyweight rowers, and she was also the first Skibbereen female rower to ever win an Olympic medal. So her place in history is assured. But I'm sure, knowing Emily, that she'll want to add to her collection this week coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd imagine for them that they will just want to kind of get out in that first heat, like I said, at 12:30 on Sunday, and really kind of set down a marker for themselves more than for their competitors, but just to kind of set down that great first performance and to start things off in a great stead.
I think so. Yeah, it's all about kind of getting through the first races and just getting through, and it's about getting to the A final, getting to the middle race. That's where they all want to be, and you want to get the direct route there, get there as fast as possible, kind of avoiding the repechage, which is the kind of the second chance race to get to final. So I think for Emily and the women's 4, it's quite exciting. They've been together since the start of the year, and I suppose the chemistry's been building. They've been training with each other. They've now had a couple of regattas together. They've been away in camp in Italy before they went to Paris. So everything is building towards Paris. And I know, chatting to Emily for the special, like she's very grateful, I think, and appreciative of being back in the boat, because she knows where she was last year, and she was in a dark place. She'll admit that, in terms of what the future held for her in rowing. So I think she's in a good positive place going into the Olympics, and hopefully that positivity can take her all the way to another medal, touch wood.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody else, Kieran, who will be positive going into the Olympics is Aoife Casey. She's going to be first out of the Skibbereen Rowers, of the West Cork Rowers. She'll be first out in the heats of the lightweight women's double sculls. They begin at 11:30. She did compete in Tokyo as well, so she's a two-time Olympian, kind of adding to West Cork's list now of two-time Olympians, of multiple Olympians. And she is kind of looking forward to a positive summer and looking to sign off in style.
Exactly that. You mentioned two-time Olympians. So Aoife is in the Irish women's lightweight double with Megs Clement from Rochestown. So it's an all Cork pairing here. They got to the Olympics in Tokyo in 21, and they're almost voters from the pack because they qualified through that last chance saloon regatta in Lucerne that year and went all the way to Tokyo. And actually finished 8th overall, finishing second in the B final, which was quite a remarkable achievement for them because I suppose there was no pressure on them to even qualify for the Olympics in the first place. But when they got there, then they did quite well. And they were only both number 22 years old at the time. But we're 3 years further on in their story now. They have a world medal from the World Champs in 2022. So they know what it's like to win a big medal on the world stage. And they're both 25 now. They're I think they'll both say, and they both are, that they're better rowers. They've more training done, they're stronger, they're fitter, they have more experience. So everything is pointing to them towards having a good Olympics. I think what's important to know here is that they qualified through the World Championships too last year. So they've had since then to prepare for these Olympics. They didn't have to negotiate the last chance qualification regatta at this time. So that'll help their preparation as well. You mentioned there about Aoife wanted to go up in the high. That's it. She's starting college over in London in September. So it's an exciting new chapter for Aoife. But before she signs off from rowing, she'd love to go out with a medal. But I think, like I said with Emily, and like I said with Paul and Fintan, it's about getting through the rounds and getting to the A final, and then we can start talking about will Aoife and Megs win a medal. But the first thing is to get there, because they only have to look back to the Worlds last year where they missed out in the A final, and they were really disappointed with that. They really were, because they finished third in the World final the year before, and they didn't even get to the top 6 the A final last year. So rowing is really about fine margins. It really is. It comes down to, like I mentioned earlier, 0.09 of a second. And I'm going to go right back to 2015 for a second, Dylan. When Paul and Gary qualified for the Rio Olympics, that was at the 2015 Worlds. They finished 11th overall, and they took the last qualification spot for the 2016 Olympics. But they beat the Greek crew by 0.28 of a second. That's just a quarter of a second. And that's the difference between Paul and Gary getting to that Olympics and then winning silver, then almost creating what we've seen now as to missing out and getting to the Olympics. And maybe the world wouldn't have heard of Gary and Paul, and who knows what would have happened after. So when you talk about rowing at that level, it really is the finest of margins. So I think the main thing is for all the skip rowers and for all the Irish rowing team is do what you have to do, kind of trust the process, kind of focus on the race and just try and get through to the medal race. Then hopefully we'll be on this podcast next week previewing a couple of Olympic finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we sign off, Kieran, one person that you can't talk about Skibbereen rowing really without talking about Dominic Casey as well. He is a key figure in this. As much as he probably doesn't want the limelight, we're going to give a little bit of it to him because you mentioned Paul's kind of role in kind of growing rowing as a sport and in increasing awareness of rowing and his incredible performances. But Dominic Casey has been there in Skibbereen all the way along and is kind of the coach extraordinaire. You call him the man with the Midas touch.
Yeah, it's incredible the success that Dominic has had. First as a rower himself, he won multiple national titles back in the 80s. Then he transitioned into coach, and he's helped Skibbereen Rowing Club become the greatest rowing club in the country, the most successful rowing club in the country. Won 4 titles at the recent nationals, and now Skib have 199 titles, which is an incredible amount, and they're so far clear of second place. And that's a credit to Dominic. But I think, to be fair to everyone involved in the club, because it really is a team effort there. Dominic, since he's been involved with Rowing Ireland, he really does keep in touch with the club. He knows what's going on. He has his eyes and ears inside the club. but it's the likes of Denise Walsh and Emily Delory and the Shawnee O'Briens and all these characters in the club that really keep it going day to day. Sean Murren, the club chairman, and so on. But yeah, Dominic's impact on Irish rowing, it just cannot be understated. He's the man that coached Ireland to their first ever Olympic rowing medal. He's the man that coached Ireland to the first ever Olympic gold rowing medal. He's overseen incredible success at world level with Paul, Fintan, Gary, and even Shane O'Driscoll and Mark O'Donovan. They won world and European gold in the men's pair back in 2017, and he was their coach as well. Denise Walsh won a world, won a European medal and World Cup regatta medal, and Dominic was her coach. So his success over the years has been incredible. He's a man who does not like the spotlight. He doesn't like the interviews, because I think he prefers to let his rowers do the talking and let his coaching do the talking. But anyone who's worked with him has high praise for him, and to operate at that level, you need to have, in the nicest possible way, you need to have this ruthlessness about you, because you're operating at the like I said earlier, it's fractions of a second. So you need to be able to make the tough decisions and make the decisions that you feel are for the betterment of the boat, and ultimately try and win a medal. And it's very hard to argue against, I suppose, what he's achieved when you see the list of medals that he has kind of led or masterminded or coached Irish rowers towards. So he's another one of the most intriguing characters of Irish sport, and he's former World Rowing Coach of the Year, RTE Sports Manager of the Year, you name it. Dominic has won it as well, and he'll be hoping too that his rowers can do the business over in Paris this week.
Yeah, those rowers again will be in action starting at 11:30 with Aoife Casey on Sunday morning. It's going to be a couple of weeks, Kieran, where we'll all be keeping a close eye on the telly, as, like I said, those 7 West Cork athletes are in action at the Olympics in Paris. All of this, everything we've been talking about, will be available in shops across West Cork from Thursday morning. So again, there's 24-page Olympic souvenir supplement, as well as a giant poster for your wall. There's also 24 pages of inter-county action previews, reviews, club championship football previews, and a whole lot more as well. So this week's Southern Star is really one you cannot miss. And as always, if you're further afield or can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star and get it on your laptop, tablet, or phone. Just head to southernstar.ie/offers this week, Kieran, as we have a great offer for anyone looking to sign up. You get 50% off your first 3 months as a monthly subscriber. So that's just €4 per month, €1 per week, and you'll be in for all of our Olympics action, all of our club football championship coverage as well. So it's a really great offer. Head to southernstar.ie/offers to get that this week. And as always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back again next week, quite often, I would say, Kieran, to talk about the Olympics.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.